So the second component to the Statstrack system is the web-based dashboard, and this is where coaches go to access video, whether it's live in-game or post-game for video analysis and breakdown. The dashboard also houses some additional optional tools, things like CSV export functions, um, visual reports access, as well as some ranking systems as well. But predominantly the system is used for the video analysis. So just as the app, the video dashboard has your season listed in it, top to bottom, and we're going to look at this from two perspectives, from the live in-game hypothetical and from the post-game perspective. So if it was today's game, it would be listed as pending. Obviously, hasn't been played, and any finished games are obviously tagged as finished. So let's look first from the live game perspective. So let's say December 7 is today's game. We're going to click on today's game, and this would obviously be zeros because we haven't tracked anything yet. The game hasn't started. But you'll notice that the dress rosters are listed in here, which we have already entered into the app. And again, it's very important just to have the dress rosters. We don't want scratch players listed, so the system doesn't think that those players played and had zeros. It'll throw off their averages. So once you're into the system, you simply click on the game video button here. Click View. We'll have already linked the game for you, whether it's live, or we do also track via archive. Teams will send us a copy of the MP4 video of the game, and we'll track that way, and then upload the game into the system. So it works the same way. In terms of layout, just kind of a quick run through here. So you've got your video screen where your clips will play. Just as in the app, as we looked previously, there's the period layout. So again, gold is your team, gray is the opponent, and all the events are listed at the moment in time of the period they occurred. So very easy to find something you're looking for. And lastly, you have a scrolling list here, and these are all the individual events that we captured with their own individual clips. Clips are preset in terms of clip fault duration, currently set at 10 seconds, but you have the ability to change the duration of your clips anywhere between 6 seconds to 20 seconds, depending on how long you want your video clips to be. So first, let's look at this from an in-game perspective. So if this was, let's say this was the second period of today's game, I can go in and quickly set this to second period, but when I enter the room, this page is already going to be populated with all these clips preset based on what we've tracked in the period. So the coach goes into the room and simply picks what he wants to see. So let's say in this case we want to look at this goal against. We click on it. It's going to instantly jump to a few moments before the goal is scored, so you can see some lead up and how the goal was scored. Now, if I wanted to see a little bit more of the development of the play and not just where the clip automatically started, I can jump back. There are skip buttons here of 5-second intervals back and forth. So in this case, let's go back 5, 10, 15 seconds. So this actually starts at the face-off. So we'll be able to see the development of this whole play. We lost the draw in this case. We didn't retain possession, turnover there, and that's going to allow them to get an opportunity here in which they'll actually score. Another scenario, if you want to look at any other event, let's say this turnover, for example, to see if this resulted in a scoring chance against. Again, you simply click on the event, and it'll jump to a few moments before, and we can see that this turnover, I believe, will actually result in a scoring chance against. Yeah, right there. And again, if I want to see a little bit more lead up, you can just skip back a little bit further to see some of the development of the play. If I wanted to show players, for example, some of their face-offs from that period, I can do that as well by using some of the filters. So in this case, we can filter by event and by player. For either team, you can look at either team's roster. But in this case, let's show this centerman just his 4 draws from the second period. I can now click and see, show him this draw that he lost, for example, and he gets a really quick view of it before the period starts, and so on. So it's worth noting every clip has the ability to be edited as well or downloaded directly. So if you wanted to just download this directly onto your computer, you could do so just by clicking on the video file cloud, or you can edit as well. So if I wanted to see a little bit more lead up to a play or following a play, this video is obviously going to be 10 seconds in length, but if I want to make it a bit longer, I can do so just by dragging it out. I can add 5 seconds here or 5 seconds there and save. And once you've saved, it'll be labeled as a trimmed or saved clip. Let's now look at things from a post-game perspective. So let's say this is the end of the game. We've gone into the room. We're now waiting for the players to change, the bus to be loaded, and things of that nature. I'll show you some things that some coaches typically did this season. So the first thing coaches will often do is they'll send the centerman their face-offs. So again, we went through this previously. We can pick the face-off type. We can pick the player that we want to send it to. And now this is all of this individual's face-offs from the game. You see he's got quite a few. So what I can do is I can very quickly send this out by clicking Share Export. It'll automatically select all in any case that you're sharing or exporting. But if I just want to send a few, let's say I want to send him just a couple of the lost draws, I can select individual ones as well. And I'm now going to send this to him in a digital copy. I'm going to hit Share. And the coach is going to send this out to the player. I can now choose whether to send it to his email or a text with a quick little message. In this case, we'll say lost draws, tie up your man, and send. Now, when I send this out, the player will receive a text or an email with a link, which they can click on. That will bring them back to the video page, but it will only show them the clips that you selected for them to view. So it's a really quick, direct way for them to look at the info that you want to share, and you can see how quickly that goes out. So coaches will typically send that out to each of their centermen. In another case, what a lot of coaches will do is they'll save information to their computers that they want to be able to watch when they don't have access to Wi-Fi. So in a lot of cases, coaches will go in right away, and let's say they'll select the goals. So there's 5 goals in this game. I can do now one of two things. I can share it to myself. I can send myself a link just as I did to the player. But in a lot of cases, if I want to have access to this offline, I can export it. And what that will do is that will pull these 5 clips together into one video file. And then it will download onto my hard drive as an MP4 that can play back through QuickTime or whatever your video player default is. So I'm going to show you one, an individual one that we did, just so we don't have to download a new one. But once you've downloaded it as an MP4, you now have access to watch that video. In this case, this is a turnover video that we've saved, and it's going to result in a goal. Okay. So again, a quick way that you can save some information before you even leave the rink, so you have access to watch on the bus or the plane where you don't have Wi-Fi, and can also quickly send things out directly for the players to be able to watch on their personal devices. Another example as to how the video system is used post-game, coaches will often use this to create their video session for the next day. So if I want to make a game file for today, I can combine any number of events into a video as I like, and that's simply by picking any event type, any player. This is now going to be just general team information. The last feature that teams will typically use, we talked a little bit about the edits before. Teams can also use this system to create their own custom clips, and a lot of times that's based on, it's predicated by an event that we've captured. So let's say, for example, I want to make a forecheck clip. Forechecks are obviously predicated by zone entries. So I've filtered my zone entries. A gray zone entry, my opponent entering my zone, would be their forecheck, and we can set up for defensive zone play. But for a forecheck in this case, we want to make ours. So we click our zone entry, and once that video starts to play, we can start to record by hitting this little red button here. And now this is going to record as long as I like. Here's my zone entry. I can now see how we approach the puck. Now this is automatically going to stop at the duration time, but if I want to see more, I can do one of two things. I can either click play and let it continue to roll, or I can start to manually edit this. So we can go into our editing screen, and just as before, we can drag out time. So if I want to make this a little bit longer, I can say go that way. If I want to make it a bit longer here. Now this clip is 33 seconds in duration, but if I want it to be even longer than that, I can go back again and start adding 5-second intervals to the end, or even more lead up time, 5 seconds at the front. But however you build out your video, you want to rename it. In this case, we'll call this forecheck 1. We'll save it, and now it will show up in our list as a custom clip. Okay, so you can also combine our already pre-tagged events with your custom clips as part of your video session. Coaches will also do custom clips to do things like positive reinforcement. They'll send a player, a good forecheck video, or a stick disruption or deflected pass. Coaches have also used this to create custom videos to send to the league in the case of disciplinary action or a potential suspension upcoming or an appeal, so things of that nature. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you can make your customs, but they do come up as a custom clip. Anything that you edit or custom can be deleted, so you can simply get rid of any of your trims, any of your customs, and the system will go back to normal. A couple of little features that we'll talk about again. So you have the ability to edit any clip, download any clip individually, and the last thing is the timestamp. So I know a lot of times coaches will often make note as the period's going on of an event that they want to look at between periods. They'll take note of the time on the clock. So let's say I look up and I see something on the clock that I want to see in the intermission. I'll write down the time. And when I come into the video room, the video tag will have 2 different timestamps. There will be the video time, which is the first number, because a full game is going to be 2.5 to 3 hours. So this happens at 46 minutes and 29 seconds. But let's say this zone entry is something that I wanted to look at between periods. I know by making notes in game that it was around 30 seconds in the period. This one happens to be 30 seconds. This one happened at 34 seconds in the period, and so on. So you can very easily find the clips that you're looking for using either the layout or the actual timestamp. So essentially, that's how the video page, kind of in a nutshell, that's how that works. There's obviously a lot of flexibilities and different ways that teams use this, and we're happy to walk you through and provide suggestions and support, wherever needed. But hopefully, this is something that will provide coaches with additional time that they don't have to clip their own videos. Obviously, creating a time saver and putting together a more comprehensive package for your players as well.